because usually, you know, I come from Brooklyn, New York. I was born and raised there. I don't come from the South. But my mother used to bring me down south to my grandmother in Dothan, Alabama. And Congressman, my grandmother told me, "You see that pen over there?" I said, "Yes." She said, "That's a pen of hogs and pigs." I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "Always know something. If you take a brick and you throw it in that pile, the hog that hollers is the hog you hit. There's too much hollering going on in Mississippi that we haven't hit something. I can't figure out which one we hit, but we hit something. Because now they talking about lawsuits, they threatening this, threatening a mother of a child, trying to get her job taken. You wouldn't be hollering if we wasn't hitting something."
It begins with a brick, not a literal one, but a metaphor dropped into the middle of a press conference by a man who has seen too much. He speaks about a pigpen. He says if you throw a brick into a pile of hogs, the one that hollers is the one you hit. This is not a parable about farming. It is a statement about a case, a state, and a system under pressure. The hollering is coming from Mississippi, and the question is, why are they hollering so loud?
Good morning. Let me say the case that we have been dealing with now for the last several weeks around Nolan Wells is indicative of many cases around the country that have raised serious questions with racial overtones.
Before we go deeper into what the evidence actually shows, make sure you're subscribed to CrimeNest Media. Because we don't just cover the story, we follow the facts. The case is Nolan Wells. The details were initially presented as a tragic accident. The story goes that on July 4, 2026, the 18-year-old college football player took a boat trip with friends to Horn Island, a barrier island off the Mississippi coast.
Good afternoon, everyone. First, I want to say thank you to Reverend Sharpton, and also thank you to Attorney Crump for being the armor bearers for this family, the Nolan's family. It's a really, really sad occasion that we're here again. I was just saying to my staff on the way in, it's like this brings back so many vivid memories for me and my own family, having lost Jordan to unnecessary gun violence in November 2012, Black Friday, simply because he was black and playing loud music in his car. And so here we are again today.
It was supposed to be a day of celebration. But Nolan didn't return to the boat. He stayed behind. His family reported him missing. For 2 days, crews searched the island. The body found near the island's northwestern tip. The official response was almost immediate in its framing.
And we find ourselves asking the same questions. How did it happen? Why did it happen? And this family stands here demanding answers. This family deserves answers.
Local authorities said there was no initial indication of foul play. The parent of one of the other boys on that trip, one of the other young men who was there, the one who was with Nolan that day, threatened to sue the family for asking questions.
And worse and worse. The parent of one of the boys threatening to sue us for asking a question. Imagine that now. Some of y'all call it, what do you feel about the parents? One of the boys says he's going to sue you and Ben Crump. Sue us for what? For saying what happened?
They threatened to sue the family for asking what happened to their son. When you have more questions than answers, you need people who can drive the answers out. That is the role that Reverend Al Sharpton and attorney Ben Crump have taken. They are not there to make money, as Sharpton stated. They are not there to collect a fee. In fact, Sharpton announced a reward of $50,000 for any information leading to an arrest and conviction, a reward later matched by Tyler Perry, bringing the total to $100,000 for the truth.
It is urgent because each day that goes by, you worry, will we ever get to the truth? And so that's why we want to thank CBC for calling on the federal authorities and anybody else who has resources to help this family get to the truth.
The presence of Sharpton and Crump is what turned a local tragedy into a national story, but it is also what triggered the hollering. This brings us to the central irony of the case.
Thank you so much, Mentor. Reverend Al, thank you for helping not only lead the effort to get to the truth, but keeping this family in your prayers as you have done so many more families, giving them support. I'm Attorney Ben Crump, along with Attorney Eric Hertz, Attorney Lisa Park, Attorney Ahmad Smith. We have the honor of representing the family of Nolan Wells. Obviously, you all have come to know his parents, Christine.
According to Sharpton, the family and its advocates have faced a storm of accusations. They have been called ambulance chasers. They have been described as a race-baiting machine, looking to tarnish Mississippi's reputation. They were accused of showing up as carpetbaggers to hijack a funeral. Imagine this. You lose your child, and you are attacked for asking questions.
Event at the funeral, me doing the eulogy, saying we weren't going to prejudge. Yet they keep getting lambasted. Imagine this. You're losing your child, and you're being attacked for asking what happened. I mean, they're not political figures. Why are they under attack for asking for the truth? So it's not about...
The parent of the boy Nolan was threatened to sue the Wonsley family for speaking up.
Only thing we want to know is what happened. That's all we want to know, is what happened to our son. Because many parents out there, you still have your children. You still can hug them. You still can call them. You still can celebrate their life with them. And we do not have that anymore.
They attempted to use the legal system to silence the parents of a dead child.
This new normal is something I would never wish on anyone, not even my worst enemy. The hurt that we feel daily, the conversations that we have to have, not just with each other, but also with our other children as they are grieving as well.
The hollering is so loud that they are threatening to take a mother's job. But what was the actual demand? They were not asking for a conviction. They were not even asking for a predetermined conclusion. The request was simple.
We just want the truth. We just want to know what any other parent would want to know. We're asking the questions any parent would ask. And if you feel that something's wrong with that, then that's a problem that you have to deal with.
A full, fair, and transparent investigation.
Every day to say his name, Attorney Hertz, Attorney Park, Attorney Smith, trying to work with the local district attorney to give them what they need to do a thorough, fair, full, impartial investigation. That's what
The Congressional Black Caucus, led by Rep. Lucy McBath, who lost her own son, Jordan, to gun violence, demanded a full federal investigation.
As a member of the Congressional Black Caucus, I'm the second vice chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. We are demanding a full federal investigation. Cash Patel, we're demanding a full federal investigation as to what has actually happened to Nolan Wells.
They gave authorities 7 days to respond. Crump even pushed for a joint investigation of the phone, waiting on the district attorney to set a date for a singular, controlled examination. If the investigation is conducted fairly and the truth is clear, they say they will accept it.
And let me say that and answer that. It's important that you understand that when we raise these issues, that's all what we wanted. We raised the issue, I was out front, Ben was the attorney with Trayvon Martin. And we finally got George Zimmerman in court. When the jury said not guilty, we said we disagreed, but we didn't go and attack his parents. We didn't go and chase him down. We accepted that. When we had the killing...
They accepted it when the jury said not guilty in the Trayvon Martin case. They accepted it when the federal government said there was no case in the Michael Brown death. As Sharpton said, they accept it when it's fair.
When we had the killing in Missouri with Michael Brown, and President Obama was president, we asked for the federal government to come in there Eric Holder and them investigated the case and said there was no federal case that they could bring. We accepted that. So don't act like we don't accept it. We accept it when Michael Brown's case didn't go federal. We accept things when they're fair, but we want them to be fair. That's why I said, as the congressman said, they're giving them 7 days. The FBI come back either way, but
they want it to be fair. At the highest stakes moment, when the official narrative of no foul play was being challenged by the desperate pleas of parents, the question becomes, would these same officials be treating a son from a different community the same way? If the truth is as simple as a freak accident, then why is everyone from the district attorney's office to the social media commentators fighting so hard to shut down the scrutiny before the evidence is even examined? Why is the hog hollering so loud?
In a philosophical way, he was all about our children. But by the grace of God, it could be our child next. And as American citizens, we have the absolute right to say our federal government should extend resources for our children like they will extend to everybody else. I would never forget when President Obama, with Reverend and I, when Trayvon Martin was unalive. And he said that it's
the revelation that should shake the framework of this case is the location Horn Island. It is not just a Mississippi beach. It is federal land. It is managed by the National Park Service.
Nolan Wells' body was found on federal territory, Horn Island, run by the National Park Service. Are you aware of any death investigation opened up by the National Park Service into his death on federal land? First question, actually 2 parts. There have been 7 arrests made for the swimming pool, also run by the National Park Service. Why the disparity between arrests over the reflecting pool in front of the Lincoln Memorial and 0 arrests, subpoenas regarding the National Park Service in the case of Nolan Wells?
The answer, and I have the lawyer's answer, is that is why we raised it, thanks to the beat.
This is where it becomes a matter of jurisdiction, not just race. One journalist pointed out the contradiction. 7 arrests were made in a separate case involving the reflecting pool in Washington, D.C., on federal land. Yet in the case of Nolan Wells on federal territory, there have been no arrests, no subpoenas, no public answers. If the Department of Justice can move swiftly to police a pool, why is it silent on an island?
Thanks to the CBC and Congresswoman, to a federal level, because the federal government has to answer those questions of involvement, because Horn Island is federal property. And while they can have a grand jury indict around the reflection pool, then announce they're pulling back the charges, now have with a new special grand jury. They done went to a pool twice and haven't come to Horn Island 1 time, and it was federal property. So I think that the contradiction there is why we keep raising the questions.
The federal government has to answer those questions of involvement because a death on federal land opens a pathway to federal oversight that bypasses the local narrative. The call to action is now directed at you. If the local system is failing, the federal system is required to step in. But where is the standard? The call to research is the request itself. The FBI was formally requested to investigate by the Congressional Black Caucus. The document is in the system. The only question left for the viewer is this: after over a month of speculation, attacks, and conflicting stories, do you believe a thorough, unbiased federal investigation is too much to ask for an 18-year-old whose body was found on federal land? The answer will define whether the hollering was a sign of guilt or a cry for justice. If you found this breakdown compelling, smash that like button, share it with anyone who needs to see the facts, and subscribe to CrimeNest Media with notifications turned on. We'll be following the official findings and bringing you the truth as it unfolds.